legend, the one you tell all your friends. Hey, I don't need to know your name. I don't need to know your name. You don't need to know my name. You don't need to know my name. No, I don't need to know your name. No, I don't need to know your name. What? You don't need to know my name. You don't need to know my name. Get yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Just hit me up. No need for names. Just hit me up.
Slip on your cowboy boots.
With this? Are you sure? With socks?
Yeah.
Stylistically, Palm Drive videos are like almost candid camera, if you will. Candid camera of the leather scene.
Palm Drive found good-looking people that were into some of the wildest and weirdest things.
They're among the best filmmakers in the leather community.
Yes, I see how it's porn, but I also see how you could like take this to the Whitney and put this in the avant-garde film section because it works both ways.
I wanted to be an exhibitionist, and I wanted to try these things, and I loved that I was being filmed doing it.
Palm Drive Video was a small two-person run video company. We needed to produce the videos, we needed to edit the videos, we needed to market the videos.
American culture was insane sexually in the 80s. So we had to create some lunacy that celebrated the fun of sex. Marty and I started making videos when we couldn't find the porn we liked to watch.
Hello, my name is Spiro Economopoulos and I am the Program Director for the Melbourne Queer Film Festival. What you just saw was a trailer for Raw Uncut Video, which is screening as part of MQFF 31 in cinemas and will be on MQFF Plus as well during the festival. Very excited to have the directors of Raw Uncut Video here joining me in the stream to have a chat about the film. That's Ryan A. White and Alex Clausen. So let's welcome them in. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for taking the time out to speak to us. We're really excited. I think the documentary is really excellent. And yeah, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Much appreciated. I guess why don't we start from the beginning, I suppose. And I'm just actually really interested to know how you came across this story. Was it actually just more about the fact that you were both fans of Palm Drive Video's work, or did you know about the two men that were behind it? Like, what was the genesis of the story for you?
Sure. So I don't think either one of us knew anything about Palm Drive Video before we started on this project. Pretty much the genesis of this was Alex and I worked on a short film a couple of years ago, which was about kind of a lost cruising area in Northern California. And for that project, we interviewed Jack Fritcher, who was kind of in the Russian River area where we were making the film about, the short film about. And Alex and I were just kind of interested in local history. We both were living in that area, the kind of north of San Francisco, Sonoma County, and we're just kind of interested about the queer history of that particular region of California. Met Jack Fritcher and Mark Hemry through kind of interviewing Jack for this short film, and then just kind of started chatting with them a little bit about kind of local history, local people that they knew. And, you know, we both have an interest in sort of archival kind of work. And so we said, hey, do you have, you know, any films or any footage or photographs of local guys from this area? And Jack said, oh yeah, we shot some films. And we said, okay. And Jack kind of gave us a small stack of DVDs with titles like Toilet Cigar Butt and Cheesiest Uncut Cock in West Texas. And he said, go home and watch these. We made these with local guys from Sonoma County. And that was really our introduction to Palm Drive Video. And I think Alex and I took those videos home and popped them in our DVD players and kind of went, whoa, like there's something interesting here. So that's really how the project started.
Oh, amazing. Actually, on that, it's really interesting that you sort of met them locally, because I was really curious about that. There's a sort of, a couple of films actually in the festival this year. We have another documentary called Everything at Once, which is about the creators of Kink magazine. And there is something about both their film and yours about the idea of gay men creating their own avenue to explore their sexualities they maybe potentially aren't seeing anywhere else. And I was curious about that. Like, is that something, that was a necessity, do you think, because they weren't seeing those, their sexualities portrayed or their particular kinks kind of portrayed anywhere?
Well, I think at the time, Jack and Mark really had a life in San Francisco. And sort of when AIDS came about, they're sort of escaping to Sonoma County, which, they were a bit removed from their old community and probably feeling very isolated. And certainly with HIV around, I think it was definitely a necessity. It allowed them to keep exploring, as the film talks about, really helped them to keep exploring and be adventurous at a time where it was a little difficult to do so. And I think Jack's history with Drummer Magazine, like his real heavy involvement in the leather community, I could see how that transition could have been really difficult. And like the necessity of creating was really there for them.
Yeah, right. Okay. You mentioned it really briefly in terms of, the era that these men were kind of creating their work. And I actually was really curious about it. Was it, what was it about this era that allowed Palm Drive Video to flourish so much? And also as filmmakers, when you were, researching and actually putting the film together, did you start to see links and connections to what's going on today, for example?
Well, going back to the kind of the AIDS era, I mean, I don't know if Palm Drive Video would have existed without the epidemic, right? Because a lot of it, Jack and Mark really founded Palm Drive Video on the idea that these were safe sex videos, right? And most of them, 85% of the Palm Drive videos are solo videos. So a lot of it was, Jack behind the camera and some guy that they found, they like to find quote unquote real men, who they found in, bathrooms at the county fair or hitchhiking or at gyms. And they like to find these guys and, kind of really pull out and draw out these kind of fantasies that they had, right? This kind of what's in the corner of your sexual psyche, right? Do you want to explore mud fucking? Do you want to try sounding? What is it that really gets you there that you want to explore? And then using this kind of solo format as an opportunity to kind of really go down that road, right? And so, and the idea behind it was always that these were safe, right? And that this was a safe way to kind of explore one's kind of sexual, sexual personas or, things that you might have always thought about, but never really had gone there yet, right? And to explore that on screen and then to share it with people. And as Jack talks about it, he would think of these a lot, especially the solo videos, as like a date, right? Like that you'd get this Palm Drive video in the mail, because it was all mail order. You had to send away for these and then wait for 2 weeks for the video to arrive. And then you'd get this video and there's direct address, right? The guys are speaking directly to you a lot of times. And so Jack kind of conceptualized that as this sort of, safe sex interaction. And at the same time, I think that Jack and Mark also kind of were able to continue exploring their own sort of sexual kind of adventurous personas by, working with these men with the camera as the dick, so to speak, right? But there was never any actual kind of not much kind of actual interaction between them, or kind of physical sort of contact between them. But Jack always had his camera and was, again, able to continue playing, right, in that sexual sense, playing with these men safely. So I think that the AIDS era was pretty critical to what Palm Drive was.
Yeah, right. And Alex, did you find any kind of links in I guess, like I was saying before, when you were making it, you felt really would resonate with the contemporary audience, I suppose?
Well, I think so. I mean, just in terms of certainly the current pandemic is very different from the AIDS epidemic, but I think there are glimpses of how you are close to people, like that enforced distance. So certainly not at the same level, but I think there are certainly, contemporary folks might get an inkling of that, people who might not have lived through the AIDS era, but certainly like that idea of a forced distance between people.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And it's interesting, Ryan, you talking about that kind of first person address. It almost sounds like a kind of an early version of OnlyFans, actually, which is kind of really interesting. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I actually was wondering, in terms of contemporary porn today and back then, do you feel like there's a real difference in the way it's I think created more than anything? Are we seeing that kind of more personal perspective now, where there are, I suppose, individual people kind of creating these companies, I suppose, that are sort of putting this content out, or is it more impersonal, do you think?
I mean, I think technology played such a large part of it. I mean, Jack and Mark also always were trying to get the newest, latest video cameras, right? So when it went from SVHS to Hi8, for instance, and then mini DV, right? And so I think that, now where we are with porn is everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people have technology, right? And have that access to a camera, which is really sort of democratized filmmaking in general, but definitely pornography as well, or at least kind of erotic filmmaking, right? That I can turn on my camera and I can film myself and then very easily upload that online. So, I mean, I think that, I find that really interesting, how technology has really sort of played a role in the development of sort of porn and kind of adult filmmaking. And again, Jack and Mark very much kind of were also at the forefront of that, as were many other porn producers in the 80s and the 90s as well.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I feel like that technology is sort of very much democratized pornography in a certain way, where it's at everyone's fingertips to create as well as consume.
Right.
I was curious because, obviously the film chronicles some very specific fetishes and some really interesting ones. And I think there's one point one of the commentators kind of mentions that if you can imagine a fetish, that somebody's out there actually doing it. And I was wondering, as filmmakers, when you're putting this together and thinking about what you're going to show, what you were going to put in, was there like one thing where you're like, I don't know if we can actually show this? Was there one that just kind of stopped you dead in your tracks?
It was, I think, looking through it for both of us in the beginning, it was very surprising because we didn't actually know it was in the archive, and we certainly, I don't think we've watched everything that is in the archive, so I'm sure there's some other things lurking in there. But personally, there were definitely some things that I felt were really challenging. But in thinking about the film and as the story developed, the goals of the film, it became clear to us that it would be really hard to take a really soft and edited approach with it. So, and like for me, like there's a scene with hooks, which I find for me very challenging. But I'm definitely glad that we didn't hold back.
Yeah. Do you think there's been like, oh, sorry, Brian, go on.
No. I was just going to say, I think another really important thing about the production of this film is it was very hard to fund this movie, right? I mean, you say gay fetish porn and people like with money run the other way, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we very much relied on the community, right? On fetish communities. Like we did fundraisers in San Francisco, a couple fundraisers and kind of crowdfunding campaigns, all of which was very much marketing this film and kind of reaching out to people in fetish communities, right? So with that in mind, that's where the money actually came from, the little money that we had to make this movie came from. It was also like, well, why would we hold back? This is a film that we made we're making for the community. Right? So why would we try and soften it and say, oh, we're not going to show the puke porn, right? Because it's like, that was part of it, right? And that's what the community would want to see. And I think that that's a really interesting thing is how the film has actually expanded beyond that community, right? And that it's screening in Melbourne, right? It's just screened in London tonight. So, it's screening all around the world. And I think and especially thinking that we started with this kind of like local history aspect to it, it's really amazing to see how far the film is going at the moment.
Yeah, interesting. Do you think as the film's been rolling out, I think you mentioned you've started doing festivals, I imagine, just this year, yes? Have you found there's been I suppose, a renewed interest in the Palm Drive video and Jack and Mark's work, or has that been something that's kind of been a bit of a knock-on effect?
I think from when we started the film, we started getting emails, just like people who remember Palm Drive, people who had the original videos and just are eager to get a hold of them again.
Yeah.
Like really diehard fans. And we do get a lot of inquiries about, just like, where can I see these? I need to see these.
Yeah.
So it's been really encouraging to know that it's helping renew interest in the films. But it's a surprising response, which has been great.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. I suppose just very quickly to round it up as well, I was just really curious to know if you're both working on another project. Is this like a theme that you want to continue on from, or is this something you'd like to move away from as well?
Yeah, I think at this point, it's been 5 years. Alex and I started this, I think in the spring or the summer of 2016. So, on one level, I'm very proud of the film and it's great to see it out there doing things. I think we are kind of creatively ready to move on. And we do have some projects that we're working on. I'm a little superstitious about sharing too much. I will say that, kind of the importance of porn as kind of archival documents and, the kind of the historical value of porn continues to kind of play a part in the work that we're kind of developing now. So it might not be about fetish porn per se, but looking back at the kind of like, the history, the queer history that exists within the porn archive is very much still of interest.
Yeah, I think that is actually, and it's been interesting seeing, films like, Ask Anybody, for example, that very much is about the way we kind of, I guess, document queer history when in a different time when there wasn't so much out there for us to be able to kind of chronicle our lives and, those eras. And it's interesting that people are turning to porn and these very specific personal kind of companies in terms of telling those stories. So yeah, I think that's been really interesting. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me for this chat. We really appreciate it. I really wish you the best of luck with the film. I think it's really terrific, and I'm very excited for MQFF audiences to check it out and discover it. So I wish you the best of luck, and hopefully we can see you in Melbourne sometime.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. We are thrilled that the film is happening. It's actually the Australian premiere, right?
Wow.
Melbourne.
Yes,
so really exciting to be hitting up a new continent, and I hope you all enjoy it.
Yes, thank you.
All right, take care. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.